Today, I'm joined by some wonderful panelists from across a suite of our clients here at Instep as well, who is going to kindly share their insight around both retail and e-commerce with us today. Now, very quickly, a quick introduction from myself, your host. My name's Leigh Atkinson, and I work as Head of Curriculum and Learning for Instep UK. And on top of that, my duty around, I suppose, what I bring to the business is very much about making sure we've got some exceptional learning experiences. But today is going to be really useful, not only for me, but also all of our other clients and stakeholders that we're working with, because it's really that giving us that opportunity to reflect on what's current, what's happening, what our current challenges are, and have an honest conversation around those, as well as planning for future as well. So with that, everyone, I would love to move next over to our panelists. And if it's okay, panelists, I would like to give you each the opportunity to introduce yourselves. And Lisa, of course, we will come to you first, if that's okay. And then we'll transfer over to our panelists. But over to my lovely colleague, Lisa, next.
Thank you. And thank you to all of you for your support today. Now, I know most of you, I work with most of you, but for Claire and Andrea, who I don't directly, really good to meet you. And thank you for your support today. As you know, I'm Lisa Kozler, Client Director here at Instep. I work in partnership with all our clients to look at their skills gaps within their organizations, and then we put the right training in place to address them.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Lisa. Really appreciate that as well. And for everybody's awareness, Lisa's kindly going to be tag teaming with me today just to draw on those experiences and, of course, keep that conversation flowing throughout today's roundtable as well. However, saying that, let's meet our panelists next. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to go in order of what we've got on screen there. So, Andrea, if I could hand over to you next.
Hi, yes, my name's Andrea Lansbury. I'm the HR Director for Benefit Cosmetics and also Fresh, which is obviously a cosmetics brand in the UK and global. I've been part of the group, so we're part of the Louis Vuitton Hennessy group for 26 years. And I know, I don't look old enough.
Where did that time go, Andrea? What a commitment, 26 years. That's wonderful. And Benefit Cosmetics, so retail sector we're talking there, Andrea.
Not all the time with Benefit. So I was with some other maisons beforehand, but I've been with Benefit a long time too.
Excellent, excellent. Well, Andrea, once again, thank you so much for joining us today, and we're looking forward to hearing your insight as well. Excellent. Emma, could I come to you next?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so I'm Emma Cogbill. So I'm Director of Talent and Acquisition at Unibrands. Now, I wouldn't necessarily think you've heard of Unibrands, so I'll tell you a little bit about who we are. So we actually are, we own and operate 26 different e-commerce brands that were all sort of born on Amazon. And as of today, we sort of, they range in a variety of different product categories. So we do have a couple of beauty brands, we have pet care brands, we have home brands. Our main headquarters is in the US, but we do have operations here in the UK, in Germany, China, and then many colleagues in the US as well. So I recruit across all those countries, which can be very challenging, but also exciting. And yeah, I've been here for about 4 and a bit years, coming up to 5 actually, no, nearer to 5. Gosh, where does the time go indeed? So yeah, but I mean, we're predominantly e-commerce. We are just going into an exciting phase now of pivoting towards more wholesale and retail. So that's going to be really interesting for us. But we were digitally e-commerce to begin with, predominantly on Amazon, but now kind of stretching out our portfolio of marketplaces as well.
That's wonderful. Thank you for that insight, Emma. And you know, I'm just thinking we've got such a suite of retail expertise here and during today's roundtable as well. So a great opportunity for you, your future planning as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Emma. Really good. Willin, if I could come to you next, my dear.
You sure can. Hi everyone, so I'm Waylin and I am the Senior Learning and People Development Manager for Group 1. Always quite interesting because Group 1 is actually a really big group, but most people don't necessarily associate the brand Group 1. We are basically a dealer network within the UK. Our parent company is actually based in Houston, Texas. We have around 110 dealerships in the UK, covering brands such as Ford, Kia, Citroen, Seat. Right up to Porsche, BMW, Mercedes. So yeah, I look after the L&D function for the UK operations of around 7,000 colleagues. Been in the automotive industry for coming up to 23 years, so a bit like Andrea. I know I don't look old enough, but yes, I have been 23 years, 15 years in corporate fleet, and then nearly 8 years in the automotive retail.
Excellent. Thank you, Waylin. Thank you, Waylin. And absolutely, you all look absolutely fresh to it. I'm just going to say that now. Beautiful, beautiful panelists, I will say. Thank you, Waylin. Really appreciate it. Claire, I'm going to come to you next, if that's okay.
Well, speaking of fresh, also fresh, I'm celebrating 20 years at Fat Face on Friday.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I started working Fat Face when I was a child, yeah. So yes, you may have heard of Fat Face. It's a retailer, clothing, lifestyle brand. Yeah, we're on the high street. We've got about 200-ish stores in the UK and ROI. And yeah, kind of my role, I've spent about 10 of my 20 in the field running the stores. Absolutely, it does have, Fat Face branding running through my blood. I think, it's just living and breathing the brand. And the last 10 years has been in the people team. So my job title as employee sort of experience manager, people experience manager, it kind of covers all of learning and development and kind of the sort of the pillar of community, ESG, inclusion, that kind of piece too. So yeah, and actually, I first my connection with Instep is I completed an apprenticeship myself with Instep about a year and a half ago. So yes, so kind of being on the student side as well as kind of being a partner and taking other apprentices through as well. So yes, that's me.
Really good, Claire, really good. And I love that as well. It's always nice to experience that learner journey yourself, isn't it, as well?
Totally.
We can confidently shout about it. But no, wonderful wealth of experience. And once again, well done on remembering that far back as well. I was only a bit when we first started joining as well. But I bet you could, absolutely, you'll be utterly fat-faced through and through as well.
Yeah, completely.
Excellent. Thank you, Claire. Thank you. And finally, I would love to have a quick introduction from our Daksha as well. Over to you, my dear.
Thank you. So I'm Daksha Stanislas. I'm a Learning and Development Manager at Pret a Manger. Hopefully everyone knows who Pret is. We sell coffee and sandwiches. Within London, we have just over 500 stores within London, and obviously it's more across the whole of the UK. We are a global business. I've been with Pret for just coming up to 12 and a half years, and I've been in the L&D space for 8 years, primarily looking after apprenticeships, commercial qualifications and global onboarding for the business. And working with Instep, we started our female leadership program with Instep, where we had a number of our support centre staff doing a level 5 program, and they've all graduated, so I'm really happy. And we're also looking to see what more we can do with regards to global empowerment as well. So thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for joining us, Daksha. Thank you. And what a wonderful wealth of experience. Really appreciate that, everyone, and thank you so much, like I say, for taking the time to tell us a little bit more about your worlds as well. And I just a very quick reflection, what a wealth of experience we've got in the room today. So thank you, and really excited to hear more as well around that. Now, what do you say we have a look at what I've got planned for our discussion today, team? Let's take a look. Now, let's start with a little bit of context as to why we are here today. So our wonderful panelists, as we've just met there, really joining me today to have an open and practical discussion. And this is really about drawing from senior individuals across both retail and e-commerce as well, so we can understand actually what's working for you at the moment. We're going to be talking about the future and, of course, any initial challenges that you are either currently facing or anticipating in future as well. Now, remember, team, today is really about exploring those real challenges in both retail and e-commerce today, and we really do want to draw from your insight as well. Further to that, I would love to explore leadership capabilities, and a few you've just mentioned in your introductions how you've had development, CPD planning, etc., and programs, including apprenticeships throughout your organisation to help support that development around leadership capabilities. But interestingly, I would love to tap into some of the performance levers associated with that as well. What does good performance look like? What challenges have you been facing, for instance? Finally, in this modern age, we've all heard about this AI going around as well, and it seems to be thrown at us at such a rapid pace, doesn't it? I'm sure we've all had a go of it and a little play, etc. But ultimately, we can see that it's here and it's here to stay. So today, I'm really keen on having some conversations of how are we adapting within these working environments and these sectors that you are all promoting throughout today as well, and that you are representing. And on top of that, do you have any concerns with this? Or are we absolutely bought into AI and how it is that we can utilize this to emphasize what it is that we are trying to achieve across our organizations? Remember, today it's very much a shared conversation. It's absolutely not a presentation. I would love for you all just to comfortably link into the conversations where you feel comfortable doing so as well. And of course, where we've got time towards the end, I would love to open up so that you can ask each other some questions there, as well as Emma was saying, they're potentially exploring retail, for instance. So that could be a great opportunity for you to share some best practice with one another as well. So with that, a bit of context around today's topic. Now, retail and e-commerce are operating in an increasingly complex and fast-moving environment, which I'm sure each of you can greatly agree with as well. This is generally being driven by rising customer expectations, sustained cost pressures, and of course, to some degree, as we were mentioning about AI, the rapid digital transformation and the growing influence of AI, as well as any other digital interventions as well. Now, while this technology continues to advance, leadership capabilities remain the critical driver of performance. Now, today's roundtable discussion will focus on practical realities behind these findings, the challenges organisations are facing, and how leaders or even leadership is evolving, and how prepared we are for that inevitable AI today as well. So, to reiterate, we are going to be looking at the likes of rising customer expectations, the likes of cost pressures and productivity demands that you are all experience, any rapid digital or data-driven changes that we're looking to either implement or we already have implemented, and of course, the acceleration of AI coming into this world as well. Now, the way that I'll go about this, ladies, is I will propose a question, and of course, I will look to probe further if I see any valuable insight around what it is that you are sharing in your answers as well, just to delve a little bit deeper. But of course, as I mentioned at the start of our roundtable discussion today, please feel free. You are more than welcome to chip in where you find fit. And if you've got any associated questions, I would love to hear from you as well. So let's make a start. Now, our first topic of conversation is very much around leadership challenges. And my first question that I'd like to propose to our panel today is, what is the biggest leadership challenge that you're currently facing in the sectors that you're representing right now? It's okay, take a moment to digest it. Jump in when you feel fit.
I think, sorry.
Go on, Emma. I was going to go, but you go.
you go first.
Oh, okay. So I think from my observations in terms of what I see across our industry at the moment is probably within the automotive industry, the pace of change is very, very quick. And I think that is accelerating with the digitalization, introduction of AI, automation and things like that. So I think the biggest leadership challenge that I guess I feel that we're facing at the moment within our industry is around keeping up with that pace of change, adapting to that pace of change, and almost embracing that VUCA environment that we're all living in. As I said, the automotive industry as a standalone does move quite quickly, but I think that with the way the world is going, the workplace is going, it is adapting to that change and kind of bringing our sort of colleagues and our workforce on that journey with us.
I think that's a really valid point there, Will, and thank you. Andrea, I think you had a point that you wanted to raise.
Well, I couldn't have said that any better, because I was going to say, again, adapting to the rapid and continuous change. Things are moving like quicker than ever, and all the technology, all the disruption. But I also think the market volatility, what's happening across the world, is having a huge impact on us. For an example, we are Benefits, an American company. We all know about tariffs. We all know about the geopolitical instability that we've got in the world at the moment. All of these things are putting, such big external pressures on businesses as well. And it's going to squeeze operating profit. So I think that's going to have a massive impact. It's one of our key performance indicators this year. So, yeah, I would agree with everything that's been said so far, plus that. And then it's the new skills that are needed in the retail workforce, because we're all about creating a seamless customer journey that's obviously across more digital, physical channels. And we're going to need people that are going to have, need more skills. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Oh, sorry.
Sorry, go on, Emma. You go first.
No, I was going to say, I think it's definitely that, like, leading through ambiguity. Like, there's a lot of ambiguity in the market right now. I think that's like, we obviously are an American company as well. So, I mean, we have a lot of our goods produced in China. Not all of them. We were quite lucky to have quite a diverse supplier network originally, but obviously tariffs had a massive impact on us. We sell a lot of the majority of our goods on Amazon. A lot of that is coming from China to the US. So tariffs was like a huge thing for us last year. I think the two buzzwords were tariffs and AI that we kept hearing about. But yeah, I think it's like, in terms of leadership capability, I think it's kind of finding those leaders that can kind of lead through that ambiguity and make those high sort of stake decisions, not necessarily with all the complete data. And it's almost like kind of, predicting, it's really hard to predict what's going to happen because everything is moving so quickly. So I think it's having sort of people who can move with speed, but also kind of confident with moving with maybe like incomplete information, and kind of navigate teams through the challenges and kind of reassure them that, that this is the right path, because ultimately we have to make a decision to move forward, and not necessarily like, we're all about sort of trialing and experimenting as well. I suppose we're in slightly more of kind of I wouldn't say we're a startup anymore, but we were established in 2020, so we're not that old as a business. So we are sort of navigating kind of uncharted waters really, but we've still got to sail the boat somehow through it. So yeah, I would say it's definitely kind of like the capability of having leaders who are kind of, navigating those challenges, and they're not easy to come across either, because obviously I'm on the recruitment side, and obviously like looking for these leadership capabilities. It's a difficult skill set to find, I think.
No, I agree, Emma. I totally agree, and thank you. Well, thank you for sharing that. Claire, I'm going to come to you next.
Yeah, just to sort of continue that same thread of the conversation, I think the output that we're seeing from the fast pace of change, which is exactly what you've described, is, talking of buzzwords, we're hearing kind of, people talking about burnout and kind of, and basically kind of feeling so stretched that they're, working outside of their working hours. So we're really trying to combat that by kind of just collecting the data to really understand the reality of that. We don't want people to be working ridiculous days on the regular, but it's also kind of then helping our colleagues understand the difference between stress and pressure as well. To try not to take away everything, but actually understanding that pressure can be healthy, can be competitive, and give us that competitive advantage. But of course, we don't want our people to feel stressed. So it's just that kind of educating leaders and then that filtering down to everyone else about that difference between stress and pressure. So yeah, I think it's a real sign of the times in life and work, isn't it?
No, I totally agree, Claire, as well. And I think every one of us do feel that element of the pace increasing as well.
Yeah.
And naturally it does lead to that stress and pressure. A very, very interesting, insightful point there, Claire. Thank you. Daksha, I see that you have got your hand up next.
Yeah, thank you. So I think from a hospitality position for us, it's even more challenging because from a productivity perspective, yes, we want to tap into channels of e-commerce, and we have, you can order a sandwich and have it delivered to you through Uber Eats and so forth. But it's also about engaging with our customers. So for Pret, it's really important we still have that in-person communication. And then if you think about leadership capability, it's having our managers, for example, being able to demonstrate both sides, both qualities of understanding the e-commerce side of their business, but also that in-person customer interaction that they need to have so that people can enjoy our brand when they come in, whether that's through a Joy of Pret initiative, which you can't really put through an e-commerce system, and we can't track that as data because that's given on the cuff by team members when they feel like they want to celebrate with a customer through giving a free coffee. So there's loads of different challenges operationally, and I think because we are a global business, there's also issues around GDPR as well, and there's different laws within the different countries. So then how do you navigate what training is required for the leaders in those particular markets? So
Brilliant.
As everyone said, it's not something that you can solve overnight, and actually it's a work in progress, and it's always going to be that way, I think, as things happen across the world and as legislation is pushed forward, even from a supply perspective, because we have to source our ingredients and it all has to be fresh. So we have to navigate all those kind of operational issues as well.
It's certainly a full challenge we've got, isn't it? It is. But that's a really good point that you make there, Daksha. It's also about not one shoe fits all sizes, for instance. We've got to take that individual approach and consider, especially when we're working geographically so wide, there is individual considerations that need to go into that. Really useful. Andrea, I'd seen you pop your hand back up. Did you have something further you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I was really interested with what Emma was saying about ambiguity, leaders really needing to face into ambiguity because things are moving so quickly. We used to do something called a 3-year plan. I'm sure loads of companies have a 3-year plan, but it's so rapid now change. You have to think in a completely different way. You almost need to throw that out of the window, and you need, 1 year is possibly too long for planning now. You need to be really agile and really pivot. And there's also a huge amount of data that sometimes if you were to analyse all the data, things have moved on too quickly. So it's about being really agile and it's about being really quick to change. And I think, one of the other challenges is getting people to change more quickly as well. So change management is really key as well.
Yeah.
You don't have time for people to be a barrier. You need them to really drive their own change.
Yeah, I agree, Andrea, I do. And again, this goes back to what Daksha was saying there as well. That could look different depending on the individual. Where is it that they are? Are they in the store? Are they customer facing, for instance? Are they based in the UK? Are they promoting elsewhere as well? It's thinking about all of that at once. And sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming, can't it? But absolutely, I think that the nail in the coffin there for me, Andrea, is when it's really thinking about actually is a year planning sufficient nowadays? Do we need to change our approach and maybe have more quarterly planning interventions and constant reflection? In short, it's not just having a plan of A and B, it's also having a solution or plan C as well in some cases, especially with all the change happening around the world as well. Very, very interesting. So just based on what everybody was sharing with us there, Brilliant insights. What would you agree then, after hearing everybody's comments then, which is the biggest leadership challenge that you're currently facing today?
I think for me, I would say it's probably a mindset shift, and I guess it reflects back to some of the points that Andrew's just made there. If I hone in on automotive, you know, we're going through so much change at the moment, which I think the whole world is. But I think, you know, we quite often hear our CEO talk about the fact that we're going to see more change in the next 2 years than what we've seen in the automotive industry over the last probably, you know, couple of decades. So I think there's a real mindset shift, because we've got a lot of people. It was quite interesting when we all introduced ourselves. All of us have got quite long tenure within the industries and the companies that we work with, and we see that quite a lot within the business that we're in. Well, automotive, actually, you usually find people have that long tenure, so they're used to a certain way of working. So I think, from my perspective, the biggest leadership challenge I think that we're facing is probably that mindset shift, that things can't continue the way that they've done over the last 20 years. We've got to keep up with that pace of change, and that brings a different way of working and different mindset to try and overcome those challenges.
Really good, well, thank you. And do you know, Claire, I hope you don't mind me bringing you into this as well, but I think that point that you raised around pressure and the difference between this as well, there's a huge opportunity, would you agree, as well? And I know you alluded to this earlier, around educating people around that difference of pressure and feeling overwhelmed, what that could look like, and coping mechanisms. And what's your thoughts around that, Claire?
Yeah, I do, and I think it's you know, a bit like Wayland's just said, like kind of it's not going away anytime soon. This is not a temporary thing, so it's not about just getting through just this tough period or just this year or something. It's actually, you know, this is, you know, new ways of working, and then getting them to understand that we can find efficiencies, which is, I'm sure we'll come into the conversation about, you know, embracing technology, etc. So find where are those efficiencies that you can find, so that it frees you up the time to then connect with people and do things that, you know, actually bring, like, you know, joy back into the workplace, rather than it being just a sort of like, you know, just wading through tar all the time. So I think that's kind of it, really. It just is an education piece to, you know, to go to your point there about mindset. I think that's exactly it. So it's, I think for us, really about in terms of that biggest challenge, it's making the time to play the long game, you know, rather than just keep sticking plasters over things. I think that's really that's probably the challenge.
No, I totally agree. Andrea, you were next.
Yeah, we did a massive piece of work on well-being when we came back from the pandemic. But my views changed a little bit now, because I think we need something different, because I think pressure is not going to go away. I see it just becoming more. And what we need is resilience, because certainly the younger generation, they're not as resilient as some other generations, because they haven't needed to be in the past. They haven't known what it's like not to have job security, not to lose all the equity in their homes. And I think we need to do more work on resilience rather than just looking at well-being.
Yeah, it's a really good shout, actually, Andrea, and it's hugely beneficial to the receiving individual as well, especially if they haven't been exposed to it, as you've mentioned there, Andrea. And there is this sense of almost an expectation as well. So it's really aligning people's expectations off the back of that, as well as that self-care being addressed in that initiative as well. Really good shout. Daksha.
Thank you. So for me, I think one of the things that we sometimes tend to forget is that the leaders also need a little bit of self-care as well, because they are also managing upwards. So if you think about, they have investors, they have people looking up towards them. So when they have been tasked to drive and deliver results, whether that's through implementing a big change or a small change, that pressure is sometimes a pressure they feel alone. And I think that resilience piece, that well-being piece, I think as senior leadership teams, sometimes they do ignore that because they're thinking about the whole business holistically. So if I think, you know, when you think about capability, are they allocating the time that they might need to have the space to think, you know, and also do we have the financial support to impact and deliver the change that we want to see. So I think senior leadership, the balancing act that they have to do, whilst also pushing through the changes to support, say, maybe more junior leaders at a shop or front of house level, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's really wonderful to hear you mention that as well, Daksha, because again, I think there's a lot of, I suppose, responsibility on our leaders' shoulders around driving that change forward, but adequately also supporting individuals as well in managing that change. Really great show. And finally, Emma, anything you'd like to add to that?
I was just going to say, I was just going back to sort of Claire's piece about the pressure. I just think that there's an immense amount of pressure like coming through on the use of AI. Like it's just so widely, like it's like over the last kind of year, it's just, I mean, obviously people had heard of AI before that, but there's like so much talk about it now. It's everywhere you look. And I think like, you know, from CEOs and kind of boards, they're putting a lot of pressure on for like AI. But I think it's like, it's really difficult sometimes, like even, I mean, I've even found it like obviously within talent, we're trying to obviously use AI to drive efficiency. There's so many platforms out there. There's so many options that are available to companies to be able to use AI. Within like 6 months, those options, there might be another better option because it's evolving so quickly as well. And I just think there's so much pressure to kind of invest and choose the right options to use AI, but also like it's about using AI in the right way and kind of like sort of skilling up our leadership to be able to teach AI in the right way. And sometimes I think that bit's maybe forgotten because we're so kind of invested in this journey of just using AI all the time, and implementing it and choosing the right platform or provider to help us with AI. That's all well and good, but it's also like using AI and utilizing it in the right way for the business. I just know that, I mean, we constantly talk about AI all the time, but it's like, what does that really mean and how are we going to implement it across the business to actually drive efficiency and change? I just think there's so much noise and so much out there. I mean, even from me looking at like, you know, providers within the talent sphere, there's so many different options, and then it's the time of like having all the intro meetings with them and having all the demos with them when you're really busy yourself as well. It's quite overwhelming at times, I think.
No, and I do feel that personally myself as well. There's a huge push for it, and it seems to be happening, and people are making best use of it. But there's so much competition out there for fighting. This is the way you should go. This is the route you should go down. And actually, some clarity around that would be really, really useful as well. Watch this space is all I would say in that section as well. But we'll come back to that. That's really interesting, Tim, and thank you so much. So what I'm hearing off the back of that is what we really are considering and looking to prioritize in the near future is resilience and supporting individuals in managing change as well and anticipating this change whilst demonstrating agility in making sure that we're acknowledging it in a sufficient and timely manner as well. On top of that, and thank you, Emma, I'm just going to lean on that point you were just sharing with us there, but this digital intervention as well, what does that look like? How can we use these new digital interventions such as AI to identify efficiencies within the processes and what it is that we're doing on a daily basis? And you know, that could be the solution that we're looking for to alleviate some of these pressures that Claire was mentioning earlier as well. Thank you very much for that. Just to move on to our next. So with everything that you've mentioned there, where would you have seen leadership capabilities make the biggest measurement difference to performance here, team? And I'll just give some examples on screen there. So we've got the options of productivity, customer experience, engagement, retention, as well as commercial outcomes. So where have you seen leadership capabilities make the biggest measurable difference with these in mind? Where?
The one that seems to stand out to me, firstly, I'm sure, of course, they all have their place, but it's just in that engagement and retention piece, you know, a bit like, you know, you were just saying around the job market, you know, we need to keep great people, don't we? And we don't want them, you know, we need to make sure that retaining that talent and nurturing the people that we have, you know, and I think that we do that through our leaders, you know, and actually, and leaders, you know, listening and it being very much two-way conversation. interesting about you were saying, Andrew, about the resilience piece. We've done quite a lot of work on running workshops and kind of trying to get people to, or support people with resilience, but definitely a struggle with finding is how to, obviously they're, I think my workshops are pretty handy, but how do you, in 2 hours or whatever, how do you really change people's attitudes to resilience? I mean, that is like months and years of therapy, I think, so so it's a really hard one, because we talk about resilience, we offer the tools, the resources, but how are we actually building people's resilience? And I think that is something we're very mindful of, because when we're able to do that and break through and actually support people to be more resilient, that's when we see the engagement and retention, those parallels really shift. So I think, if leaders are able to truly do that rather than just talk about it, that's the difference I think we're noticing.
Yeah, good shout, Claire. And you're right, this isn't just an overnight turn the switch on and great, we've got resilient individuals. This is a continuous supporting mechanism to make sure that individuals do have that adequate support, but of course have those routes or channels where they can raise concerns with as well and get those solutions. Really good. Dasha, over to you next, my dear.
Thank you. So I think from my perspective, I think customer experience is the standout for us, because that tags into everything else. So in order for you to deliver positive customer experience, you need to have the right engagement and the right teams in place. You need to have the right KPIs, whether that's commercial or non-commercial, and the productivity needs to sit behind that. So for us as a business, that's our first priority. If our customers are not happy with what we're providing, a product or a service or a drink or a sandwich, they're not going to come back. And then as a business, you cannot continue to survive, whether that's an in-person experience, whether that's a digital experience, or whether that's communication through the different social media channels that people love to share, comment and like when they want to express a feeling. So for us, I think, specifically for me, I think customer experience is what is probably turning things around a lot at the moment, where businesses are so global as well. And even if I think from a learning perspective, the people that come to receive training, to learn, in theory, they're our customers. So how do I provide a positive experience to them to make sure that I'm impacting their behavior, that they're going away with something positive that they can implement back into their shops to deliver that amazing customer experience that we want to see time and time again. So for me, that's one of the biggest things that links in and underpins everything else.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree, Dasha, as well. Your customer experience, it's not only showing that actually are we offering that exceptional experience that we're doing and we're meeting the customer's expectation, but also through those different channels, whether it's digital, in store, etc. As you say, that could look and sound completely different, but the intention here is it's that consistency, and that sounds like it's been the challenge as well. Really interesting. Andrea.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. We're all paid for our commercial outcome, but what will give us that is the customer experience. And there's been a massive shift with the power that the customer has now. They can make or break an organisation. So if you're not delivering what they want, what they need, then you're just going to lose your market share. So making sure that customer journey is really seamless, making sure that you're going over and above. And it's so interesting, because if you just like mystery shop retail, I think the experiences that you get are probably less than ever before, when actually they need to be more than ever before. And that's not just one brand or one type of retail, it's all over. So I think this is our biggest opportunity and also our biggest threat to improve the experience for customers, because their aspirations, their wants, their needs are just climbing.
I totally agree with that, actually, Andrea. You felt it even in the likes of supermarkets since they brought in the self-checkout. It's lost that personal touch, would you agree, as well? So I completely back Andrea with that. Actually, I think we need to be working harder to make sure that we are delivering that shop floor experience as we've always intended as well, whether that's through a digital stream or an efficient way. Self-checkout, for instance, as well. But that's a really valid point. Thank you, Andrea. Waylon.
Yeah, just follow on, I suppose, from the customer experience piece, but also the resilience piece that Claire mentioned as well. I think within automotive, what we're seeing is, about 4 years ago, Mercedes introduced the agency model into the industry, which meant customer experience needed to become more and more important because of the fact that, if you go to a Mercedes dealership, regardless if you're in Coventry or Liverpool, you can get the same car for the same price in the new car market. So, I guess the switch that we've really had to make is to focus on that customer experience, but as Daksha said, it impacts the other 3 areas. It impacts the productivity, the commercial outcomes, and the engagement and retention. So from our point of view, that's been a mindset shift that we've had to kind of go through, which I think we have, if we look at our reputation scores across the industry, within our group, we have seen that elevated, and that has had a positive impact on the other 3 elements that are on this slide. But I think to Claire's point as well around the resilience piece, you're absolutely right in terms of educating, raising awareness. How do you make that message stick, I guess, after they've attended those workshops? Because I think, for us, it's even taking it back to the basics in terms of getting people to understand what personal resilience actually means. Because I think there could be a perception that resilience is just to keep going, and I guess overcoming that pressure and moving into the stress factor instead of actually recognizing that healthy pressure. So I think we've probably got quite a few people within our industry that think, working 60 hours a week is demonstrating resilience, whereas actually, how productive can you really be? Are you being the best version of yourself when you're operating at 60 hours a week? $1 million question, but I'd have to question how productive you're actually being. So for me, it's thinking about how do we make that message stick. And one of the I guess projects I'm working on is that sustainable learning. Yes, come onto a workshop, but how do we kind of introduce micro learning and other elements of other sort of interventions that can solutionize some of those challenges for the long term?
That's a really valid point, actually, Will. And then again, equally just as important as well to the wider piece, how do we overcome these challenges and what is it that we can put in play for them? Andrea, did you have something you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, just something very quick. And I really believe in support, in training, but we also as leaders have to make sure we have those courageous conversations as well.
Yes.
And we have to be able to call out when things aren't good enough and when things need to improve, and do that, in a really timely manner, in a way that enables people to be their best version and have success. And I think that, many people can shy away from that. Even experienced leaders don't like to have those conversations that can really make a difference to performance.
You're right, Andrea. And I think there's a lot of fear associated, isn't it, with that as well, given that constructive feedback. And it's such a shame as well, because I think you beautifully articulated there as well. Actually, we need to be encouraging these individuals to be their best self, just as you both were saying there. But actually, are they able to do that if they aren't aware areas of improvement as well? So it's having our leaders making sure they've got the confidence to have those conversations and address that in a tone and context that has that intention in mind as well. Really good, really good. Thank you, everyone. Really good. And just moving on from that there, my next question I'm really intrigued to ask is what real changes have you made to the day-to-day leadership that improves results on the shop floor or through digital intervention, etc.? Is there anything that you can share with us today?
We've just changed. Oh, sorry, I did put my hand up.
No, you're fine. You go ahead, Andrea.
We've just changed our monthly appraisal system that makes it so much more objective, which really empowers the individual to see how they're doing, how far or near the goals they are. We're very, very clear on what people need to achieve, but making them much more empowered to be able to do that. So that's a big shift change that we've made.
Really good. And can I just ask a little further question on the back of that as well? You're saying that you've created more visibility around this is what we are expecting, this is what's going to make us successful. But also, have you done a piece where you're raising commercial understanding as well? So this would be the impact if that wasn't achieved, or if this is achieved, this is how it's contributing towards the business's success.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really key point there. I think line of sight for individuals so that they know where their impact, how that impacts, the greater good is really important.
Yeah.
Because if they don't do a great job, they know that they're letting themselves down, but sometimes they don't see the impact that has on the business.
Mm-hmm.
So we've done a lot on that education as well. And
That's
I think
really
as well, we did a lot of change after the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
People at that stage, they were a little bit out, unless you worked all the way through, and some retail did, but some didn't. We didn't. They got out of the habit of being managed and wanting to achieve targets.
Mm.
So we had to adopt a slightly softer approach coming back through that. And I think now's the time that we've begun to ramp that back up a little bit more.
It's really good, Andrea. Thank you. Emma, what's your take on this?
Yeah, I mean, we don't so much have a shop floor as such. Obviously, we sell much more e-commerce wise, but I think definitely kind of on the back of that, I think it's all about communication for us. I think we've done a lot over the last sort of few months to try and improve communication around kind of making sure that there is alignment on goals and expectations, and kind of getting some of our leadership team to present on obviously the strategic goals of the business and where we're trying to head and what the results are looking like, to make sure that everyone's kind of on board with the journey. I think we really struggle because we are very, very geographically dispersed across the world, so people aren't really together in hubs or working together in an office. I mean, I know we're all quite remote nowadays, but there's no sense of people being in a shop and being part of a team and the manager being there on a day-to-day level. Everyone's quite remote. So I think that communication piece from the surveys that we did was coming back as one of the critical points of people weren't feeling that they were clear on the goals and aligned in where we're heading, especially because we were on such a trajectory of growth, and things pivot and shift so much in our world, that I think that's a really key word about communication and making sure that everyone's sort of aligned with where we're heading on board with the journey.
That's really good, Emma. And I would love to delve a little bit deeper on that point as well, having worked in a remote environment myself over the last 3 years, and some of the challenges I've seen as a leader of the teams that I've managed, as well as that individuals mentioned they feel as though they're working in silos. They don't have that opportunity just to walk up to somebody else's desk and say, how did you do X, Y, and Z? Have you got any recommendations? And don't get me wrong, there's some wonderful digital tools out there. I mean, Teams that we use and today, Zoom, email, etc. as well. So with that in mind, Emma, what have you been recommended? How have you been approaching this to help overcome that?
Yeah, I think that's it. We've been trying to kind of create more kind of all hand Teams calls, more Teams calls, more kind of Slack channels of communication, just anywhere really where teams can come together and communicate. We've been trying to create smaller groups to do kind of training on certain things and create sort of maybe peer groups so that there's a support network with people. But yeah, I mean, definitely, I think we all feel it. Even today, it's really nice to come together with people and actually realise that, we all feel kind of the same, and we're all kind of, we're not in it alone, kind of thing. Because I mean, I work remotely, so I don't sit with the team. So yeah, it's definitely kind of about creating those kind of collaborative environments, I think, and just having those team meetings, but also having those kind of points where I think that the communication is consistent across the board from what the communication wants to be from our senior leadership team being filtered down. So I think we've just tried to create a lot more regular kind of cadence of these meetings and much more regular trainings, but we're still in early days, really. I mean, I think we've still got a long way to go. And that's, why we have looked at kind of, we don't have an L&D department. We're a very, very lean HR team. So it's sort of, we're trying to create sort of more of an L&D program in 2026 as well, so that people can sort of come together, and obviously we can provide more training to them.
Yeah, that sounds brilliant, Emma. And just linking back to Claire mentioned about pressures and overwhelms, I think this is another way, a great way to help alleviate some of that as well. Just as you mentioned today, it's nice to talk to other like-minded individuals who's feeling the pressure as I am as well. And I think it's these opportunities to engage with people allows them to see they're not on their own. They're not.
Yeah. And we are trying to create more face-to-face as well where we can. So we're trying to look at like more off-sites, more opportunity for teams to come together, or the whole company or departments to come together globally as well. Because I do think that although everything remote is great, I do think there's a complete difference still when you have that human kind of interaction face-to-face.
Completely agree, Emma. Thank you. And Daksha, thank you for your patience there, my dear. Over to you next.
No problem. Thank you. So I think from my perspective, some of the real changes that are probably made on a business as usual perspective is really highlighting the value of apprenticeships at a shop level. So really getting our team members, our leaders to see the benefit in doing an apprenticeship. Yes, it's a long-term learning program, but actually the benefit they'll see is recording all of that off the job training, so making sure they're reflecting on how they're bringing all of those knowledge, skills and behaviors to life. They've got their managers who also need to be reflecting on that. So for me, that whole reflective piece is really bringing the results to the shop floor. And also with the apprentices working on projects that are really going to be able to demonstrate the ROI that the business wants to see. Yes, some of those ROIs will be in the long term, but the plan is that there's a concessive amount of change that they'll be able to demonstrate, as opposed to just the normal KPIs that the business is focusing on. So when you're implementing a system change or bringing in a new product launch, for example, so I think there are clever ways to try and bring these things to life. But I definitely agree with what everyone else has said. One of the things that we're consistently always trying to do is deliver clear communication with regards to strategy, making sure everyone understands what we need to achieve, whether that's a 2-year plan, a 3-year plan, or a 1-year plan. So it's just making sure everyone's on the same page. And you're managing expectations that way. So that information is really about, how can we make sure everyone understands exactly what we're driving for and how we're going to get there. And I think that's really important at a specific, even if you're not at a shop floor level, even if it is remote, as an example, I'm in, we go out to shop. So again, it's sense checking, do you understand why we're doing something? Even learning, like, why have we brought you out to a training workshop? Do you know why you've been called here? And sometimes people will be like, I don't know. And that's okay, because that's why we're going to explain to you why we brought you out. So I think those are some of the things that you can do on a day-to-day basis.
No, I agree, Tim. And one thing I've noticed that stood out with everybody's contributions there is communication. And it sounds to me, it's not just about the why, it's the what's, the whys, the whens, the wheres, and the hows. It's evolved massively, but I think that's really critical. And going back to what Andrea was saying as well, it creates that commercial viability, understanding how they are impacting, how they are contributing towards these wonderful organizations that you represent as well. Excellent, thank you. Now, I can sense there's a keen need to discuss this digital innovation and AI. So I would love to take us on to this next topic. Now, of course, there's excitement, there's concern, and there's some worry out there across all industries when it comes to this. So my question to you is, how are we preparing our leaders to operate confidently in an AI-enabled, data-driven retail or e-commerce environment? Andrea, I'd see you dying to go there. Over to you first.
Yeah, well, I do feel quite passionately about AI because, many people think they're going to take the job. I actually think they won't take the jobs. We're always going to need humans, but the jobs will go to people that are AI savvy above people that aren't. So we all need to make sure we get savvy very quickly. And I think we also need to be quite bold and not wait. So for an example, a benefit, we've been using AI in recruitment for possibly about 7-8 years. So it's really in its infancy. And sometimes you just have to jump in and go for it rather than wait for what you think could be better, because you can miss out if you don't use it. Something I did for all of my team, every single one of my team have got an AI objective for last year and another one for this year. So making sure that they already feel challenged and that they need to, jump in and start using. I also arranged we have an expert in San Francisco who is really AI savvy, and I arranged for him to do a training with all of my team and teams in the corporate office as well. So I think, yeah, jump in, don't be scared, be bold. It's coming, we can't stop it. So, we've got to really embrace it.
I agree, Andrea. Thank you so much. And again, I'd say there's such interest in this topic as well. So I'm going to go to each of you. So, Waylin, I think you had your hand up next.
Yeah, I can see it's a hot topic. So yeah, I guess I echo what Andrea's just mentioned with regards to humans are still going to be needed. It's just the way that we work is going to be different. And I suppose it's balancing that automation, that use of AI with the human interaction. I think the way that we're trying to prepare our leaders, and similarly to what Andrew's just mentioned there, we had a leadership conference last month where we actually had an external expert come in and actually present to our sort of top 250 leaders around the concept of AI and how to use it. And actually, I think it's the case studies that they shared live on the stage in front of all of these 250 leaders that really kind of helped, I guess, break down some of the stigma around AI, but also try to kind of explain to them the benefits of using AI. I think it's interesting, some of the conversations I've had around AI, and I think, Lisa, we might have had a similar conversation yesterday where I brought it up. It's there's the confidence piece, but it almost feels a little bit, and I don't know whether it's just our organisation, the permission to use it. Even if I think back to a conversation I had with my own team, we had this discussion around AI, and someone in my team said, oh, I know AI is there and I know, we can use it, but I feel like I'm cheating if I use it. So It was a really interesting conversation. And for me, I believe AI has got great benefits. For me, I don't think you can necessarily always lift and shift what AI produces. It needs that human validation. But I think, as I said, for me, it's the permission, but also the confidence in how to use it effectively.
Yeah, no, it's a really good point that you make there, Waylin. And just recently joining a webinar on AI, they talked a lot around the worry and the fear associated with it. And one of the first points they highly recommended was reflect on an AI policy and get that across your organization, because that could be the first step that can truly promote confidence in that use as well. Brilliant. Claire.
Hi. So yeah, kind of like similarly, really, we are sort of the fears for AI for our teams is quite rightly around sort of the protection of our data. So so I think it's this. I'm glad they're a little bit fearful, and rather than putting everything that we've ever done, all the numbers just out into the world. So we're kind of just making sure that we're ring fencing that through policy and education. Look, even 2 weeks ago we ran a AI prompting course for beginners, and it was the highest attended workshop I've ever run here at head office. So I think there was definitely an appetite for just prompting right at the grassroots level, rather than sort of leaping to then being able to kind of like really sort of change workflows and things. So that was really interesting. And then I think it was you, Emma, that was saying about kind of it can be really overwhelming sometimes to work out all these different platforms and what does what and what's going to be the right thing for our business. So I was just going to share in the chat, there's two sisters that were on Dragon's Den last year that basically have started a jobs board, but their specialism is basically like just doing all of the legwork for us about working out which platforms do what, how to keep abreast of different updates in AI technology. So I follow the pair of them on LinkedIn because they're hilarious. They make kind of like videos that are actually worth watching. So they run a company called Ivy, so I'll just copy and paste their link into the chat in case you fancy some a bit of an upgrade in your LinkedIn feed for just some kind of lively AI chat and
that's information. A really good shout. Thank you for that, Claire.
Off the top of what they say, and I put it into workshops and try and then tell my team that I know what I'm talking about in AI.
I love it. I'm going to absolutely check that.
Yeah, do. So that's the links just to their website, but you can, obviously find the founders. They're just two sisters called Amelia, and I can't remember her sister's name. Anyway, you'll find them on LinkedIn.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And I just wanted to check with everyone before I go to Daksha. Apologies. I know that we're going out of the time here. It's okay to stick around. We're almost done.
Yeah. Yes,
Excellent. But no, I'm really keen to get everybody's insight on this as well. But Daksha, over to you, my dear.
Thank you. I think for me, one of the things that I've been reflecting on when it comes to AI is when computers were introduced and Microsoft came along, there was a lot of fear from secretaries, PAs about their jobs being taken over because now we have a computer. So when you think about technology and how it's advanced and being brought into the world of work, there's always been this fear, there's always been this anticipation, there's always this, I don't know what's going to happen next. And I think as technology has improved or changed at pace, we've just become accustomed to it. So now no one's fearful of a computer, a PC, or a laptop, or an iPad, or a notebook, or a smartphone. So, and it's just one of those things that as human beings, I think psychologically we always fear the unknown, and it's how you navigate that journey. And if I think about AI, for me, I actually think it's a really good tool. It's just another app for me to maximize and learn how to use, as I would PowerPoint, as I would Word. So I need to work out how it's going to help me to do the job that I need to do. And I think that's one of the things that leaders need to focus on as well. It's, which system, whether that's Claude, whether that's ChatGPT or a new version of that, how is that going to help me to deliver the business objectives that I need to deliver? And where can I tap that source to upskill my teams, my people, to deliver the results we need to do? And if you think about what the government are doing, we've got this AI apprenticeship unit, and there's lots of buzz. Every single training provider is like, yeah, I've got an AI apprenticeship standard. I can help you to navigate your business journey. And you're like, yeah, I haven't actually worked out yet exactly how I'm going to use that tool or which tool I'm going to use. And then there's the whole investment. So if you think about SMEs, large employers, can they actually invest in this new technology that is expensive? So as I think time evolves, this technology is going to become cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and more accessible. So I think sometimes it's like that gold rush and that's the kind of sense that I'm getting across the economy at the moment and with government as well. And I think sometimes we just need to pause and think, do I want to be part of that gold rush, or shall I wait and check to see exactly what's going to work for me?
That's a good point, Dasha. And then again, the secondary thought behind that, I'm not going to say worry because it's genuinely a thought that I would have. Oh, but is that leaving it too late? Am I letting the competition get ahead of the game then as well?
I don't think so, because technology is advancing so fast. By the time you buy software and you have it implemented across your business, I can guarantee you in 3 weeks there'll be another upgraded version.
That's true.
So
it's
you've
so
then
true.
invested X amount and you're like, oh my God, I now need to reinvest again. So I think it's about how you can be smart with your approach to take on AI technology. And as an example, we use Synthesia to create AI videos. So we use avatars to create training videos. But you check YouTube and Instagram, there's AI avatars that are well advanced. You can't even tell if it's a real person or not. So again, it's like, how fast are you going to go to adopt it to be ahead in a race that actually that race is going to keep on going? So you need to find
valid point.
How and what actually works well for you. So, and I think that is something that every company or even every person is going to navigate themselves. And if I just think about automotive, Tesla's bringing in driverless cars. That's going to change a whole a stream of things. I was talking about it with my husband, and he was like, maybe we can get a driverless car and we can extend it and do Uber jobs for us, and we can make a secondary income tax. And I'm like, hold on, calm down.
I love that the business idea came straight into that there as well. Wonderful.
People are thinking of how they can use AI to even generate their own side hustles. So I think, we just need to be mindful. There's so much, even like from a safety perspective of children, GDPR, how that impacts every single business as well in so many ways.
And in short, actually, what I'm hearing there, it's about a continuous cycle of development. It's not just about saying we are choosing this product and we're going to apply that. There's the process. I think it goes back to what Andrew was saying earlier on. It's not just the next year's plan, the next 2 years plan. Actually, this is something we need to keep our eyes and ears on at all times as well, and continuing to evolve that cycle and making sure we're getting it right as well. It's really interesting, and I think at this stage it's still very explorative with each and every one of our sectors. But I think, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was Claire that mentioned that actually we do need to delve into this. And I think the key here is it's about being a bit brave with it and explorative as well.
You know, just as a last comment from me, it's all about that continuous improvement. We never stop improving as a business or through training for our people. So why should we stop with certain AI software? It's how do you continuously improve with the tools that you can access that are going to help your businesses grow, in
Really
essence.
good. Really good. Yeah, I completely agree. Let's just do one round robin off the back of that. Give me, and have a moment to think about this if needed, team. But if you could say there's one positive contribution that AI has made in your organization to date, what would that one positive contribution be at this stage? Andrea.
Time. It's given me much more time.
Time management, brilliant, brilliant. So giving time back, brilliant. Emma?
Yeah, I think it's definitely efficiency. I was going to say before, like, you know, we use it like there's so many different ways that we use AI. I think it's used on sort of an everyday level with your kind of within our business with the likes of kind of ChatGPT and Claude, but then it's also like, you know, our development teams actually using it to build stuff. That's really a really technical term there. Yeah, developing stuff. And then, you know, we're also trying to look at kind of, you know, AI agents that will just be running in the background doing the work for us essentially. But I think where we have such vast amounts of data in retail, I think that data, like the efficiency that it has with data is immense for us in terms of being able to pull reports and dashboards and automating all of that. It's been such a time saver.
Excellent. So automation, analysis of data and information, and wheel in.
So I'm going to steal both of what Andrea and Emma's just said, but yeah, time and efficiency, but also I suppose from my point of view, just sparking some thoughts, you know, whereas before I'd go and try and find someone, you know, sometimes I can just instantly go onto Copilot and just spark some inspiration on a project that I'm working on. So that's what I would say in terms of AI.
Yes. Thank you. And Andrea, I've just seen your comment there. Thank you so much for your contributions today. If you do need to dash, you get yourself away, but lovely seeing you.
Thank you so much. Take care. Nice to meet everyone.
Nice to meet you too.
Take care, Andrea. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
And that's just worked out as ample time. And as well, thank you so much for your extra time there, everyone. I really appreciate it. And it just goes to show how passionate we are in getting this right as we move forward as well. So just to finish off our roundtable discussion today, thank you so much for all those contributions. What would you say is the one action that retail, e-commerce really do need to consider for their leaders, and what it is that they're going to prioritise this year or as you move forward with your future plans? And no worries, Daksha, if you need to dash as well, you get yourself away. Thank you.
Thank you.
Claire?
I'm just about to dash myself, but I thought I would just kind of like reiterate what we've just said about resilience. I think that's the word that we are grappling with around doing that in such an authentic way that it actually changes things rather than just talking about it. So that's the big action for us. Yeah.
Really good. Thank you, Claire. And Claire, if you need to dash as well, thank you so much for your contributions.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care, thank you. And what about yourself, Waylin? Anything you would?
I was going to say continuous, I guess it links in a bit with what Daksha was saying a moment ago, but that continuous improvement in our leadership capabilities. I think that sometimes it's about that self-development that we need to focus on to kind of keep us ahead of the game, you know, keep us, competitive and resilient, I suppose. So yeah, I think it's that self-development is probably what I would say our leaders need to focus on.
Thank you so much, Waylin. I think that's a really great shout as well. Thank you. And Emma, to wrap that up, anything you would like to add to that?
Yeah, I think it's a similar vein, really. I think it's just kind of being able to operate in this kind of, you know, volatile, ambiguous world of retail that we're in. I think it's just kind of developing those skills, which is really about resilience and also self-improvement and being able to kind of move with the times, really. But I guess not being afraid of it and kind of embracing what the future is, but seeing the positives that are coming out of some of the things that are coming, you know, with AI and what that in a positive sense can mean rather than fearing it.
And I think that's the key there, Emma, isn't it? It's about drawing on the positives, hence my question towards the end there as well. But if we take those positives, we can absolutely to work on the fears associated around that as well. But wonderful. Hey, thank you all so very much, and for the extra time both as well. I know someone's had to dash there, but what a wonderful group of panelists that we've been able to work with today. Thank you so much for all of your valuable insight, for your discussion, and I hope that that's really been of value to yourselves as well, and just hearing and being reassured that actually, do you know what, we're all human, and we're all facing the same challenges as well. But once again, thank you so much, and what I would say is please do expect some next steps around seeing us on social media. We can discuss this further, and I know Lisa's got a hand up there just to wrap up as well.
Yeah, only from me, I have absolutely loved this hour and a bit. It's been so open, so honest. I hope both yourself and Waylon, who are left on the call, have enjoyed it and loved it as much as we have. You know, and thank you for the support and for taking the time today, you know, to be on the panel for this incredible discussion. You're all really highly valued partners to Instep, and we absolutely love working with you. So thank you again.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Yes,
thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye.